Hey everyone, welcome back to Late Night Talks in the Dark with me. And before we get started on anything, I just wanted to say I've been thinking, like, what do I want this channel and space to be? And I decided that I wanted it to be a place where people can come and talk about their feelings. Um, I want it to be a place like if you feel like you need a hug, you can come get a hug here. If you feel like you need to vent, you can come vent here. If you need a shoulder to cry on, you got a shoulder. You know what I mean? Even if it's virtual, it's still here. I'm still virtually giving you a hug. My shoulder is still virtually here for you. If you just need to come and yell into the void, do it. Because I'm not bringing hard-hitting news. You know what I mean? I may Nikki Stitch with people who are talking about hard-hitting news and give my commentary on that. But I'm not going to be giving hard-hitting news. That's not what this is about. This is more about to help people cope while they're going through this. And sometimes people don't want to hear about the news every day, all day, all day, all day, every day, every day, every day, 24/7. I mean, the insanity is just too much. So even though we're going to talk about things, I also want to talk about it in a way that's more like our feelings about those things and how it makes us feel. You know, seeing, like in my last video, the concentration camp full of children yelling and screaming. I mean, how was I feeling about that? Well, you saw the video. I was bawling like a baby because that's hard to cope with. So I would like this to be a place where I know just expressing myself helps me cope. I also write, so I know that when I write, it also helps me cope, and I want that to be this place for you too, so we can cope together, because it's been difficult coping. In full disclosure, I am a very sick person, chronically ill. I have severe endometriosis, and that kicks my ass. It's fully debilitating. And I also have severe anemia from the endometriosis, but knock on wood, knock on wood, knock on wood, I haven't needed a blood transfusion since June 2025. Knock on wood, knock on wood, knock on wood. And I haven't needed an iron infusion since October 2025. Knock on wood, knock on wood, knock on wood. So I've had a lovely break from infusions. And this is my little, like, sticking out of my chest right here. You can see that little bump. That's my port catheter. And that's where I get all my lovely blood transfusions and iron infusions. And since 2014, when the anemia started, I've had hundreds of blood transfusions. I can't even count. It's hundreds. And hundreds of iron infusions, even more iron infusions than blood transfusions. So, you know, I am too sick to always be focused in hard too on the news and the bad news of the day. So sometimes I might just come on here and be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. How are you feeling? And mostly it's going to be, hey, this is how I'm feeling. How are you feeling? These are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? You know what I'm saying? And that's what I want this place to be. There's plenty of other people who are doing the hard-hitting news, and I will Nikki Stitch with them and have commentary, and we can discuss that as well. But I also want to come at it from the angle of how are we coping and how are we dealing and how are we feeling. Okay? All right. So, Epstein. Now, I know everybody thinks that Trump doesn't want the Epstein files to come out because, well, he's in them, right? And yes, that's definitely part of it for sure. But as you can see, so many of the Nazis don't care. They don't care. 'Cause they're Nazis. So I think the bigger issue is who else is in those files. Who is he protecting is my question. And certainly not anybody in Congress or anything like that, but there's some powerful judges in there. Maybe judges that sat on SCOTUS. I mean, because we do have Bill Clinton and George Bush in there, from what I read. And Robin fucking Leach of the lifestyles of the rich and famous apparently choked a girl to death, allegedly. How do I feel about that? So, yeah. So I really think it's more about who else is in those files, who has the power to reach across oceans and murder a motherfucker. Putin, maybe? Somebody from China, maybe? Right? I know he's not happy that he's in it either. But it doesn't seem to be backfiring too much on him. Does it? I mean, the Nazis are fine with kids in concentration camps. And you know, one of the things I said the other day in my video where I was crying like a baby after watching what Park Rose Permaculture posted about the concentration camp of children in Dilley, Texas. And I said, you know, she said that, you know, concentration camps are lucrative. And I also said trafficking children is lucrative. And after reading what I read of the Epstein files, I'm even more worried about all the children that get swept up in this. And you should be more worried about that too. Because if you do read the files, you'll understand why you should be more worried about that. So, yeah, it's not good. And even Ivanka is named in some weird ritualistic... Guys, I think the New World Order is true. I think Bohemian Grove is real. And I think the found footage movie Conspiracy was actually a documentary. Because this stuff is so fucking phantasmagorical and superfragilistic, expialidocious, crazy. It's like a movie, but a movie I would never watch. It's really... Reading that Ivanka was involved in that, and I believe the sons were there as well, this makes me believe even more that all the kids, especially Ivanka, were all sexually abused and passed around. I don't think that's happening to Barron, and maybe it happened to Tiffany, but maybe Mala Maples got her out of there soon enough, and it didn't happen to her. So, yeah. So, but it doesn't excuse anything they've done as an adult, Ivanka and the Trump brothers, because, you know, I can have empathy for you being a victim of all this, but once you became an adult and didn't get away from it, and I get it, it's kind of a cult, but I mean, you can't victimize people just because you were victimized. And I know that's what you know, and you know, all the psychology of it, but it doesn't matter. You're still legally, allegedly involved in trafficking and sexually abusing children. And there must be a price paid for that, despite the fact that you were most likely a victim yourself. So, how are you guys coping with that? I mean, Bill Clinton was mentioned, and I'm not surprised Bill Clinton was in there. I've thought Bill Clinton was a rapist since, I don't know, it was like 2012, which I don't even, like around that time, 2012 maybe. I watched a documentary where three or four women were interviewed saying that they were raped or sexually assaulted in one form or another by Bill Clinton when he was governor of Arkansas. And I believe them. And this was before Trump got on the scene and all that, before shit went crazy with all that. So there was no weird timing. It actually just kind of came out of the blue, and I thought, wow, that's real random that this just came out of the blue. I think I watched it on Frontline. Yeah, so after I watched that documentary about Bill Clinton being a rapist, I was like, yeah, it fits. It tracks. And now, he's being named left and right in the files. It's like, yeah, it tracks. So yeah, he needs to he needs to disappear and go to jail too. I mean, I don't give a fuck if you are a Republican, a Democrat, or a Nazi. You can't fuck with kids. But there's something specific to the Republican Party where they protect child predators, because most people don't remember that in 2006 there was a thing called the Page scandal. Pages are like boys from junior, they're like junior age or senior age in high school, and they go and kind of like intern for Congress people. And they're usually like 16, 17 years old. And in 2006, I can't remember the congressman's name. He was, I think, sexting with one of the underage boys. I don't know if there was any kind of like sexual abuse going on, because the whole thing kind of was just made to disappear. But here's the thing about it. The Republican Party knew about the sexting and all that before the news broke it, and they just covered it up and acted like it never even happened. And then even after it broke, the story kind of went away as fast as it appeared. And that's probably because, W is named in the Epstein files too. Hmm. And in the Page scandal, it wasn't just like this sexting issue with this one congressperson, or the fact that the Republicans knew about it. Like John Boehner was one of them. Lindsey Graham was another one, I believe. It's not that they just knew about it and covered it up. They were in attendance to some of the like kind of freaky deaky parties that were going off at these Congress people's apartments or houses. Like when Congress is in session, the representatives and the senators, they got to rent houses and apartments because they live in the state they represent. And sometimes they'll rent like a big house together or a big apartment together, and they live there like a fraternity. And it seems like they act like they're in a fraternity too. So they were throwing parties at this one house where a bunch of them all rented the house together. And, like they were giving alcohol to these pages who are all under 21, and just a lot of freaky deaky shit. And it just kind of disappeared. Republicans have a special knack for covering up. And I'm saying Republicans because in 2006, they were still mostly Republicans. They weren't full-on Nazis yet. They were hitting the fascism, though. They were hitting it hard at this point. They were starting to chase that dragon. So, the Republicans just covered it up, and it just disappeared so fast. The news didn't stay on it. Maybe nobody thought it was that important because the kids were 16 and 17. Because Megyn Kelly did say, I mean, it's not like they were 5-year-old girls. They were, 15. And you know what? On some level, I kind of get what Megyn Kelly is saying. But, hear me out. I'm not defending her. What she's saying is, if you look back in history, 15, 16, 17-year-old girls were dating rock stars in the 70s and in the 80s and maybe even into the 90s. And it wasn't unusual at all. I mean, there's a whole documentary about these 2 or 3 chicks called the Plasticasters. They were teenagers, and they were groupies. They loved being groupies. Go watch the documentary, it's fascinating. And they would plasticast the penises of every rock star they had sex with. That's real. And they were teenagers. And nobody thought it was weird or crazy back then at that time, you know, that they were groupies. And it just, and I'm not saying it was right. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it was a different time. So I kind of get where Megyn Kelly, what she's trying to say, but we don't live in those days anymore. And when I look at a 15-year-old girl now as a 54-year-old woman, I'm just like, holy shit, that is a baby. That is a baby. How can anybody look at this baby and have any kind of sexual desire for that person, except maybe another 15-year-old? You know what I mean? So I kind of get what she was trying to say in that moment, but it's still just wrong. So yeah, Epstein files. And I also wanted to mention another thing that was in the Epstein files, that one of the fixers, one of Trump's fixers, or not one of Trump's fixers, it said Trump's fixer, basically threatened somebody, allegedly, and told them that they would become fertilizer. Well, that's a threat of death, right? Very mobster of them. Who the fuck was his fixer? Do we know? Yes, we do. Michael fucking Cohen. So funny how that little slimy motherfucker just slipped on by, huh? Does that not piss you off? Because it pisses me off that Michael Cohen went to jail deservedly. He was part of the conspiracy with Stormy Daniels. You know, sucks to be you that you're the only one who served time for that. And it not, Orange Hitler, but you still were involved in the conspiracy, and as an attorney, you should know that. So it's not like you were serving time unduly or unjustly. And I often wonder about Michael Cohen. Would he have had suddenly this great awakening had he not gone to jail? Had he got that cushy position in the regime that he wanted? What if that had happened? Where would Michael Cohen be today? If he had got that cushy position? He'd still be licking Trump's boots. Because he's a bootlicker. And the only reason he had a mea culpa is because he got fucking thrown under the bus, and he was being as vengeful as, Orange Hitler is. The only difference is Orange Hitler was president and actually has fucking power, and who the fuck are you, Michael Cohen? So it's weird to me how the other side just said, come on over, Nazi. The water's warm over here. You're welcome to it. Yet Marjorie Taylor Greene is starting to wake up, and everybody's like, yeah, fuck that hoe. And actually, I have more sympathy and empathy for Marjorie Taylor Greene than I do Michael Cohen, because I always knew that Marjorie Taylor Greene was a victim of sexual assault. Because Marjorie Taylor Greene has always been kind of a QAnon girl more than a MAGA girl. And she thought Orange Hitler was going to be the big bad daddy who was going to come and save all the children from the evil Democrats who were eating and raping children in the basement of a pizza parlor. So I always thought, for her to fall so deep into that, that's coming from somewhere inside. And it turns out I was right. She was sexually assaulted. And she didn't get into details, but I would guess she was probably sexually assaulted as a kid and probably again as an adult. Because predators can always smell that prey. They just can. Nobody's ever tried to predate on me, not even when I was a kid, because they just know, oh, that bitch talks too much. She'll, you know what I mean? Like, they just know. They just know who they can approach and who they can't. And so I feel Marjorie Taylor Greene was probably sexually assaulted as an adult and sexually assaulted as a child. And that's why she went down that QAnon rabbit hole and really believed that he was the savior coming to save the children. And then she saw the Epstein files. Now imagine being in a cult and you believe in everything so full on that you almost worship the dude, and then you find out he is the monster that the children need saving from. He's the monster. He's not saving the children from the monster. He's the monster hurting the children, or at least one of the monsters hurting the children. Imagine that. You put all your belief and hope and faith, and then this lays before you, and she's conditioned to believe women because she is a woman who was sexually assaulted herself. And so she's waking up from that cult. And everybody can say that it's for all these weird ass reasons that they've been given and they don't trust her. And I don't trust her either. You know what I mean? I don't trust her either. But can we give her a minute? Can we take a beat and maybe let's see where she goes from this? You know, she's given up a lucrative position in Congress. Why? I think her life is threatened. I do. She's just given up on politics altogether. Why? Because I think her life is threatened. That's why. That's what I think. And we can't forgive her for some of the dumb shit she said, some of the uncaring, cold, hateful shit she said, which she has apologized for. And she has called this regime cruel and the policies for the immigration cruel. But still, we can't offer her a little, just a scintilla of grace to see what actions come next. You know, you don't just wake up from a cult like that. It takes time, you know, because you also judge yourself for being a fool, for being duped. So she's probably like, oh my God. So I have a little empathy for her, and I'm going to wait and see what she does. What if she starts doing something good? And then what? I'm going to see, because I've always thought of all the people, Marjorie Taylor Greene just always looked crazy to me. Her hair was crazy. Her eyes were crazy. When she opened her mouth, it was insanity. She was just, gibberish was just coming out. And now I see her, and her eyes look sane. Her hair is sane. And when she speaks, it's with clarity and thoughtfulness. So we'll see. We'll see. I still wouldn't trust her as far as I could throw her, but I can see how she was ripe for a cult. That's what I'm trying to say. She was ripe for a cult. So, and I bet the people who assaulted her are probably fucking Republicans too. And again, I'm not saying they aren't dirty motherfuckers on the other side. There are. But them Nazis tipped the scale for sure in their favor of who outnumbers pederasts. Okay. I guess that's all I wanted to say tonight. It's just been a rough week, and I think I'm just gonna go watch a good horror movie, maybe some good true crime, and just kind of get myself out of my head, because I've been in my head a lot. And if you've been in your head a lot, I get it. It's kind of hard to go about business as usual when it isn't business as usual. You know what I mean? Like, we're going around business as usual, and it's like, business is not as usual. And it's like, how do you make people understand that? I want to believe I'm feeling a shift, but the last time I believed that, I kind of got, I don't know, I got walloped with reality when I started thinking maybe I was feeling a shift. So, I don't know. I don't know, guys. I'm feeling really, kind of feeling like a person without a country. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I'm kind of feeling like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know about you guys, but I feel kind of lost, a little. I'm so dumbfounded at how the people in Congress are seeing these files and talking about the things why isn't everybody in Congress, why isn't their hair on fire? Everybody, all of them. You read the same things I read. And everybody's just like, yeah, we're going to vote on funding. Okay, we're having murders in the street, military in the streets of America. We got a we got a paramilitary running around. This dude wants to take his brown shirts to Milan for the Olympics. What? I thought these people were immigration enforcement officers, right? That doesn't. Why do they need the insanity of it all? You're going to bring deportation police to another country that doesn't want you to bring them to their country. Why are the Olympics not doing something? Why are the athletes not doing something about this? Athletes have a lot of power. They could be like, hey, 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 we ain't going to go to the Olympics if he does this. And that would change real quick because, athletes make rich white men richer. And imagine if all the gold and silver winning medalists were like, nah, we ain't going. So we ain't going to make you richer. I wish the athletes would take a stand on that. But yeah, if you don't know about that, he wants to take his brown shirt paramilitary to Milan for the Olympics for protecting J.D. Vance or something, or lie. Because that's what they do. They lie about everything. So yeah, he want go look into that too. It's absurd. You're literally telling everybody, yeah, this is actually my my Nazi paramilitary. They come with me everywhere I go. Or they go with the vice president everywhere he goes because he needs protection from immigrants in Milan. What? What are you talking about? Are you planning on arresting athletes? Because you need to be a citizen to be in the Olympics. So, you see what I mean? That's why I want this place to be a place where people can come and just be like, bitch, I feel you. I know. It's all crazy. I feel like I live in the wrong universe and I just want to go back to my universe. Here's a question. If you found out you were in the wrong universe, okay? I don't know how you would find out, but, use your imagination. We all watch sci-fi movies, don't we? Now imagine you found out that you were in the wrong universe. But you could get back to your universe. But the other you is going to be in your rightful universe. Would you kill the other you so you could get back to life in your normal, happy universe? Or would you just stay and deal with things as they are and let the other you live? Or what if the other you was like a raging maniac? Would you feel less bad about killing the other you to go back to your other universe to live happily? I always tell my husband I would. And he's always like, no, we'd have to just find a way to send them back. He's so diplomatic. But I also watch horror movies too, so I always got murder on the brain. So would you? Would you do that? I just want to know. We're living in this hellscape together. If you could escape this hellscape and get back to the universe that you are rightfully from, would you kill the other you? Even if they weren't a raging maniac. Even if they were just exactly like you or nicer than you even. What would you do? Would you kill them or would you just let it be? Let me know below because I'm curious to see what people think about that. I think that's a funny question to ask. Anyway, I'm tired and I hope this video finds you all well. And I'm just sending you all a big virtual hug and we'll get through this together. We will. We really will. We will get through this together. I know we will.